Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ango Show. We are live. It is May 12th, 2025. My name is Ango, and I'm joined by Billy TKO. Today, we are talking about WWE Backlash. We're talking about wrestling. You know the deal. Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern. We talk about pro wrestling. And if you guys love pro wrestling, definitely want to click subscribe. Definitely a lot of things to discuss today. So I'm very happy that Billy is here to join us because we actually haven't been able to talk about Backlash.
No.
Yeah, on Friday I told everybody, I said, I'm going to be celebrating my birthday. My birthday's tomorrow, but there was a little party thrown for me, so I obviously couldn't watch Backlash live, but it was cool because yesterday had a lot of time to relax and I didn't have to go on social media. I didn't have to watch as like a YouTuber, right? I got to watch it as a fan. But part of that means that me and Billy weren't actually able to talk about it, which is cool because I think this is going to be a little bit more fun of a conversation.
For sure.
Considering you did a watch along for it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I watched it a day after. So I'm definitely excited to talk about that. If you guys want to support the show, if you guys want to share your opinions on the show, if you guys want to drop your comments on the show, whatever it may be, there's a couple things you can do. First and foremost, all super chats are 100% guaranteed to be read and engaged with on the show. And then if you guys are a member on the show or of the show, you could become a member. And that's when we look at priority for those in the chat. So, of course, we want to engage with everybody. I'm really curious to hear everybody's takes, everybody's thoughts. But the highest priority goes to our members and super chatters, which is really funny because Darth Bane actually has a interesting comment here.
All right.
And Darth Bane actually says everyone hating on Jeff Cobb already, calling him Timu Rhino, which is interesting because I absolutely loved Jeff Cobb's debut.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that. But obviously, on our predictions show, I said there's one of two ways that they bring him in, and out of the two ways, one of them was right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it was an interesting way that they go about it. But it is funny, Billy, because I spent time away from social media because
Yep.
I was gone for the weekend. Why is it that people all of a sudden have turned their back on Jeff Cobb? Because Jeff Cobb, when he showed up in AEW, when he shows up in other places, when Jeff Cobb's in New Japan, this guy's a beast, he's a monster, but all of a sudden people are hating on him. And yes, the Timu Rhino is something I have seen specifically on Twitter and TikTok. So before we even talk about the show, good, bad, blah, 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 as soon as I saw this in the chat, I couldn't ignore it. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this may ruffle some feathers. He's no longer their indie darling, right? He's now, when you talk about like the quote unquote sickos or the fans outside of the WWE, of course they're going to hate because they're no longer that guy that was known for his aggressive wrestling style and very punch mouth style. Like he's no longer that. He is now in the WWE. And I hate to say it, dude, but some people just hate to see success. They hate to see people thrive. They hate to see people try new things. It's how it goes naturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that is definitely a reason why he's getting a lot of the backlash, no pun intended, that he's getting.
Yeah, I think it's so crazy. I think this was I think it was a good debut.
It was. I thought it was great. I mean, I seen a TikTok on it earlier. But it was like when Jacob Fatu seen Solo Sikoa, excuse me, brought in Jacob Fatu's biggest op. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Couldn't even fathom it because yes, if you guys don't know, they definitely have a history, right?
Of course.
So it's kind of funny. So people will hate on it. They'll hate where the story started. They'll hate that Solo, did it. It just ties into the Solo and Jacob story that is eventually going to happen. And WWE probably will tell that story of the history between Jeff Cobb and Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, I think there is definitely something there. I think it's interesting too because somebody's complaining. They're like, "Oh, Jeff Cobb's part of a faction," which I actually saw. To be fair, I saw this complaint even when we were doing our predictions because I was
For
saying,
sure.
"Hey, it wouldn't be a bad idea for whatever Finn Balor is planning. It wouldn't be a bad idea if Jeff Cobb maybe even aligned with that."
Right.
I think both of those scenarios we discussed were interesting, but to me, people are hating on Jeff Cobb being in a faction, and literally it's like anybody who watched United Empire like knows like that's Jeff Cobb's thing, right? Like
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a comfortable spot for him, whatever they're building. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are both injured,
Yep.
right? Solo Sokoa, Jacob Fatu, and Jeff Cobb right now, I think, is an interesting direction, and there's no
Hmm.
pressure for Jeff Cobb to immediately come in and be this world champion or
Yeah, not
be
at
a
all.
US champion or whatever. But I do like the idea of, okay, we get Solo and Jacob Fatu, feuding. Well, if you want at some point for, Jeff Cobb to become United States champion, once the story turns to that direction, I think that would be really dope.
For sure, I definitely think so. I definitely think so. I'm very excited to see where this goes. I was actually under the belief that maybe they wouldn't bring him in here and they do it on SmackDown instead. But I'm overall very, very happy with how this all played out, how it turned out. People can hate Jeff Cobb all they want. They could say, everything under the sun, regardless of the fact this is a guy that WWE obviously has had their eyes on for a long time. We knew it was inevitable, right? He was going to make his way in.
Yeah.
And it just makes that SmackDown brand that much stronger.
I cannot believe how strong SmackDown has gotten in the last month.
Yes.
It's like really insane just to think about, and it's actually one of my deep concerns too. And I'm really curious to see how the chat, responds to this. But at the end of this month or early next month, SmackDown's going back to 2 hours. So now we've actually loaded up SmackDown.
And they're going back to 2 hours. It gets a little frightening.
It's a little frightening for me, but maybe with WWE and this, they will be doing some sort of draft this year. Maybe it'll get all balanced and worked out. I don't know.
Right.
It's there's been an influx of new talent, and then of course we're gonna have NXT call ups. We're already starting to see it a little bit.
Yep.
So it definitely intrigues me. We're definitely going to talk more about Jeff Cobb in this show. We're definitely going to talk more about it. We did get a couple super chats. Tolino Channel kicked things off today with 40 rupees. He says, for me, the crowd was a letdown. Didn't feel charged. I'm actually going to disagree. And I don't know what it was for me personally, but I felt like this St. Louis crowd was incredible, to be honest. I thought they were really awesome. Backlash is known for having great crowds. Especially because they've gone international in recent years.
Yeah.
But I thought St. Louis was great. It's not on the level of France or it's not on the level of Puerto Rico or something. But like, I feel like this crowd was great. I don't know. What was your thoughts on the crowd? I feel like even Jeff Cobb got a reaction when he debuted. So
he did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to also disagree with Tolino Channel here. I much respect to your opinion is your opinion. But dude, even watching it live during the watch along, dude, the one thing that I kept uttering was this crowd is insane. It's an American crowd. This American crowd tore the house down, right? St. Louis felt very special to me. I said it at the end of my watch along, because we talked a little bit about like a lot of my chat, and I'm just going to use what happened on Saturday as reference. So in my chat, a lot of people at the main event were let down. We'll get into the main event as time goes on.
Sure.
But a lot of people were let down by it. And I said one of the biggest things that ended up helping this show, right, was the fact that WWE ultimately they never told you anything was going to happen. So us rating on this scale of like when things don't happen, it ultimately you're hurting yourself. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Like, no, the show was great. Five matches delivered.
Yeah.
Right. And that's huge when we talk about these PLEs because there's always at least one match that maybe didn't feel up to par or something like. No, all 5 of these delivered in ways that they needed to. So I don't know, man. For me personally, I thought, the crowd did absolutely everything that it was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's for sure. Yeah. I get it. Shout out to Toledo Channel for the super chat. Phil coming through with the $9.99. He says, "What's up, guys? I overall enjoyed Backlash. Was it the PLE that will have major implications for bigger events? No, but we furthered some things and we got new elements added. Always been a Jeff Cobb guy." Phil, I actually disagree with you. I think it does have major implications for bigger events. I personally speaking, I thought one of the things I was actually really happy with was after every match, I got more excited for the direction of what's to happen, right? And I know I'm personally a victim of this because me and Billy had talked about it, but like even in our prediction show, right? I was like, man, the whole thing with Becky Lynch coming back and winning the belt right away is just gonna bother me. You know what I mean? I was already like pre-assumptive that I was gonna be disappointed. And Billy, what did I text you about Lyra and Becky?
That they had one of the best matches of the night.
Yeah, bro. So awesome, right? So like
Yeah.
there was this thing where I feel like now even more, as much as I'm not keen on Becky being a heel, watching her lose has now made me very interested to see the direction that they go with her.
That's
right?
why that's funny because I told you, I said, she needed this arc. She needed something. Lyra needed to hold something over her head.
Yes. And this is one of those stories where eventually I do think Becky is going to beat Lyra, but it's going to be how they go about it, right? And this is where things actually get really interesting to me. And I'm going to throw it out there on this stream because I want it on the record. But from making our predictions to what we are seeing now, I have a very clear opinion on what's going to happen with Becky. And I have a feeling it's something that will actually get me on board if it actually happens. Now, with that being said, I do want to say, I think the Becky and Lyra thing has a massive implication for bigger events. I think when we talk about Evolution and when we talk about SummerSlam coming up, I think I have a direction of where things could be headed. So I'm excited about that. I think Penta and Dom, the way that match ended and having El Grande Americano involved, right? I think it is very clear that that has a very big implication. Now, whether that is for Triple Mania, right? AAA doing Triple Mania in June, a week after Worlds Collide, or maybe that happens at Worlds Collide. Or, I think with Rey Mysterio being out injured and being, having surgery, it's like, okay, I think we're going to get Penta versus El Grande Americano mask versus mask. I think that's going to be, I think that's a major implication for a bigger event. I think you have to factor in, honestly, the Gunther thing. Like, Pat McAfee, the way that match happened and the way Gunther went out there, it's like, okay, Gunther is back in the win column, right choice, awesome match. But now what's the future direction for Gunther? And I think Gunther beating Pat McAfee still, as we said last week, leads to the Goldberg match. So now it's time that we start building up on that, right? So I think everything from this show actually has a major implication. The one thing that actually makes me even more excited because of Backlash, and I don't even know if I said this on stream yet, but I think Backlash, you can argue from storytelling, match quality, and everything, beat night one of WrestleMania this year.
Oh yeah, we can fully agree on that statement because it did. In my eyes, I was such a fan of everything that WWE chose to do here. It felt like all the decisions that they made were correct. And again, people they had their feelings just because things didn't happen maybe the way that they were expecting. People build their own expectations inside of their head, and that's okay. We all do it. We're all a victim of it, right? And that's ultimately how sometimes we get let down. But overall, WWE just fully delivered here, man, and they did everything that they needed to do. And I thought it was an amazing show. Gunther and Pat, you texted me about it. Gunther and Pat just completely tore the house down, man. They were the best match on the card in my personal opinion. So seeing that was great. And like you said, there's obviously still a world where, Gunther and Goldberg have that match. They teased that obviously many, many months ago at Bad Blood.
Yeah.
And then Lyra and Becky was amazing. That Fatal 4-Way was just outstanding, dude. When I tell you, like, it's been a long time because even though WWE has been on like such like a high horse, they've been on this run. There is still down periods. right?
Yeah.
There is still moments of like fatigue and being tired, and like some things aren't fully hitting maybe the way that you expect them or want them to.
Yeah.
This was not the case. Backlash is a B-level show. It always has been.
Yeah.
And it is not one of the shows that people go into with high expectations. Again, that's just how we've been fed, right? Like Backlash is just where some things happen, and then we'll kind of move forward from there.
Yeah.
WWE completely just destroyed this pay-per-view and made it feel so important. Like you said, better than night one, you know? And the stories and the implications going forward are going to be astronomical, I think.
Yeah.
I think Backlash is going to play a huge part in what we see next.
I also want to point out too, for clarification purposes, I know I can't see it because the chat is moving so fast, but I did see Phil saying like a follow-up comment that it was something more along the build of what it is what he was saying. So not the, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I couldn't see it because the chat is moving too fast, but he did imply something else with his super chat. But yeah, I mean either way, I think it's very fair. And you know, obviously Phil mentions being a Jeff Cobb guy. You know, I see some people in the chat mentioning they're like, why does he need to be part of the bloodline? Well, there's two things that need to be said. One, I think we need to stop calling it the bloodline because I don't see them branding this as the bloodline anymore.
No,
it's very
the bloodline,
clear.
and they didn't even have to like just say like, oh yeah, it's not the bloodline. No, you could just tell it's not.
Yeah. And also too, I know this is where people are just ignorant, and that's fine, but Jeff Cobb isn't Samoan, so and they're not trying to brand him as a Samoan. So I just want to make that pretty clear too. This is not WWE. The bloodline thing has completely gone away from being the bloodline. You know what I mean? I kind of want to point that out. But I am a Jeff Cobb guy as well. I'm super excited about it. I thought Backlash was sick. And there's definitely more stuff I want to talk about. So shout out to Phil for the super chat. Billy got a super chat from Right Hand Cam for $2. He says, dude, the crowd was lit. One thing I want to point out too is because I also saw it in the chat. I think Tolino Channel, when he made that super chat saying the crowd was a letdown, I think in the chat he meant the SmackDown crowd before Backlash.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So I can't confirm for sure, but that would make sense, obviously,
right?
If you're comparing SmackDown to Backlash,
for sure, yeah, SmackDown definitely felt more like a letdown in terms of crowd interaction. So, but yeah, no, I agree, Cam, 1000%. I definitely thought that Backlash crowd did everything. I mean, for me, it even helped further the show. Like, that's how important that crowd felt. They felt like they were a maneuvering part on what made that show feel special. And we've talked about it numerous times. A crowd doesn't necessarily make a show, right? But it definitely does help. And it seemed here that it helped the show. It felt like there was not a moment, I think Triple H said it in the press conference, where people sat down. You know, it just felt continuous, which is different to say about an American crowd, right? With American crowds, you don't hear about that often.
Well, one thing I was going to say, too, about the crowd, and I've said this before, probably like a year or two ago. Me personally, I am not going to judge a show and be like, oh, the show is bad because somebody else who paid their hard-earned money to go to that show decided not to make noise.
Yeah, right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not watching it for how other people are reacting to it.
Right.
What I will say, though, is that it is obviously more contagious of energy when you see people going crazy at an event. Well, but to sit there and say a show is good or bad based on that is kind of dumb because you're not watching a show to see how other people are celebrating it. You're watching the show to see how they actually put together the show.
Right. And I'll tell you, dude, I live behind a football field, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because a lot of people would think like that'd be annoying, right?
Yeah.
But for me, you know, you kind of talked about the contagious thing. It really is. I'm a person who I really enjoy when people just feel alive because I can feel the energy and it helps. It pushes things forward. So, yeah, Cam, 1000% agree. Just awesome crowd.
Yeah, very, very good crowd. Shout out to Right Hand Cam. He dropped the $2 super chat on Billy's channel. Tolino Channel coming through with 100 rupees. He says Lyra was the breakout star. She could tell a story in the ring. Also, Becky needs to be heel like her jab on Monet on Raw recap, plotting Bailey to it. Can we get to my little
bro? If we want to talk about it, please blow yourself up. Go talk about it.
All right, so here's the thing. I want everybody in the chat. If you're a member, we got toilet paper emotes. You guys could throw it in here if you think my take is trash.
So can I throw a toilet paper at you if I think it's trash?
If you think it's a trash take, go ahead. But I have a take because I mentioned it during Phil's super chat where I said, there's some major implications. And me personally, as you guys know, I have not been fond of this Becky Lynch heel turn. I just, to me, it just, whatever. But I have this very strange feeling. Why did Lyra Valkyria win against Becky? Right? Why they did that? Why did they have her beat Becky Lynch?
Right. And like I said the other day, I definitely think it's to just further this heel turn.
Yes, but I want to go out here and say something. So guys, throw the toilet paper if you think it's trash. I really don't give a shit. I have a very strong feeling Bayley's not going to be a babyface. I have a very strong feeling that Bayley and Becky, something is telling me that we are getting Becky and Bayley, and it's something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the fuck it is, but something is telling me that we are getting a generational heel run of Bayley and Becky. Two women who have kind of been just doing their own thing, right? Bayley was at the top with Damage Control. Becky was at the top as the man and Big Time Bex. And then I'm throwing in the other name of Charlotte. I think it's happening, bro. Charlotte's getting hated on. This is the old generation of women. Now we got an influx of new women ready to carry the division. I don't know what it is, but I'm throwing it out there into the universe. I don't know if it's going to happen tonight on Raw. I'm not saying it's going to happen on this week's SmackDown. What I'm saying is I have a very strong feeling this year we are getting heel Bayley, heel Becky. And the reason why that's important is because Liv and Raquel hold those women tag titles. People are saying the division is dead. I think WWE goes out there and does something very interesting there. And this way, Lyra beating Becky will be the reason why Bayley ends up turning heel. We don't know if Bayley was actually attacked by Becky. That's what we've been told, but we didn't see that. I'm telling you guys right now, it sounds crazy. I'm not seeing toilet paper in the chat just yet, which is a good thing. I don't see anybody throwing toilet paper at me. But I just have a feeling that this was always the plan. And the reason for that is because now with WWE having all this new influx of talent, I think we are in a situation it's going to happen.
Okay. So first of all, I need to ask you, and I must preface this. Are you involving Charlotte Flair in this?
Am I involving her right away?
Right.
Not right away, but eventually,
okay.
yes.
Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of it in the chat. A lot of people are saying the horsewomen and kind of running it that way.
How do you not? New school versus old school.
I think
War Games Survivor Series. How do you not do that? How do you not have your OGs versus the new cats? This is like Real World versus Road Rules Challenge. Rookies versus vets, baby.
So I'm going to tell you, brother, I don't hate your take. I don't think it's a bad one. I would actually strongly agree, but there are some cracks because you said that Bayley, it's only been said that she was attacked by Becky. Well, Becky is the one who told us that she attacked her.
Correct.
Becky is the one who went out and said, oh, yeah, you don't need to pull up any footage. You don't need to go looking through it or scoping through it. I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that ultimately give her a reason, or could it be because she's a heel that she's lying to us?
She's a heel. She's lying to us.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if you really want to explain that, by the way, if you want to explain that correctly, when Bayley attacks Lyra and aligns with Becky, if that were to happen, Bayley's explanation is simple. I gave up my WrestleMania spot for X, Y, and Z. I did it for Becky. We have a grand master plan, whatever. Kind of cheesy, but like you get what I'm saying. There's a better way of obviously conveying the message, but there is a way to justify it.
So I guess I have like a crumpled feeling towards this. Because as much as I love the idea, I genuinely do. I think it's a great idea, and I actually think it may be the route that WWE is taking. My only issue and my only problem with it is that, Bailey just got out of a faction not too long ago, but I also understand the level of people sitting there and saying, like, oh, yeah, maybe she doesn't have anything going for her right now, maybe needs something new. This is a good way to revamp it. I guess I just kind of walk on that fine line. While I do agree, I'm just not 100% sure. But
Yeah.
I can imagine if I did see it in person, 1000% could easily get behind it because it is a great idea.
Yeah. Now, listen, I think the reason why it's a great idea is because of the fact that what is the one thing that Bailey, Becky, and Charlotte have all in common? They've all gotten stale. They come from a class of NXT where they've dominated the division forever. So honestly, what I want to say is if there is anybody in the chat who doesn't like this idea, then I don't want to see your name ever complain about people being overpushed again, because we have seen time and time again, those three individuals have been overpushed.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make that very clear. Bailey was overpushed as part of Damage Control. She was overpushed when she broke away from Damage Control. So if I see you guys complain about that, then I'm going to call you out on it, because definitely, I think most people can agree that this is a new era for the women's division. When you have Julia and Roxanne and Stephanie Vakir, Jordan Grace, Zarya, when you have all these people, you have Tatum Paxley, who is somebody in NXT that they are really high regard. Like they have love for. Kiana James is coming back. WWE loves Kiana James, right? Mm-hmm. You have Chelsea Green. You have all these people. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, if you're the type of person, I don't care if you disagree with me, but if I see you say WWE, if I see you shit on this take, but then also say WWE, people are getting over pushed again or forced down your throat again, or people are getting stale again, I'm going to call you out for it, because that's a hypocritical thing.
For sure.
You know what I mean? You have to do something where you set the future up for success. And let's be fair. Becky Lynch, gone from WWE for a while, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Charlotte, gone from WWE for a while. What happened? Women's division caught even more on fire.
So I just want to cut you off. I did see somebody say it, because there is one underlining person that I was going to bring up, but I stopped myself because apparently I thought I sounded crazy, but maybe I don't. I definitely think it's going to be Bliss, Charlotte, Bailey, Becky. If they do that, you add Alexa Bliss to kind of take that role of what Mercedes was, because Alexa Bliss has played such an integral part.
Sure.
And I think, she's not doing anything with the Wyatt Six. That is a perfect place to place her.
I'm still, the only reason why I disagree is because of the Wyatt Six. I think the Wyatt Six thing is still happening with Alexa.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But just because on Friday they did tease something with her and Charlotte, I wonder what that is, what that turns into. Yeah. I guess we'll see. But I also know, like, oh yeah, Charlotte broke the doll or whatever.
Yeah.
Many years ago. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's just all I'm saying is there's a thing called staleness. And in professional wrestling, there's a lot of things that have gotten stale. It's become redundant. It's the same reason why Ango was the first person to come out here and say, hey, Seth Rollins should sell his soul to Paul Heyman. He should align with Paul Heyman and be a Paul Heyman guy. Why? Because Seth Rollins has gone stale. Mm-hmm. Awesome worker, right?
People
but when
go
I say stale, people, it's their characters. It's the same thing over and over again. Oh my God, dude, all you do is just dress up in funny ways. You act like a heel. You act like a baby face. Like, bro, I want more from you.
And now the one thing we're all sitting here thinking about is what's going to happen with Seth Rollins tonight. If you revamp it and do it right, people will think about it.
Oh, and by the way, we got to see what happens. Who's the new member, right? They've been teasing that. Like, you got to switch things up, bro. And I think for me personally, the reason why I'm so headstrong about this in particular is that Bailey is not going to be a world champion in 2025. Bailey and Becky should not be world champions in 2025. In fact, they shouldn't even be the women's intercontinental champion in 2025. So, another complaint that the women's division gets all the damn time on the Ango show live is, man, they're not making meaningful stories for the women. That's not for a title. And in the past year, they've improved on that, but it's not perfect. Right. So imagine you have Becky and Bailey and maybe eventually Charlotte too. But let's just say these two kind of unify. They go heel They don't need to hold those singles belts.
No, because they could just run rampant.
And then, by the way, when you have War Games for the women, you have your OGs versus your new wave.
Yep.
And I think that's the way to go about it. I'm not saying everybody's going to love it, but all I'm saying is if you don't love the idea of them switching things up completely, but then you complain about WWE forcing talent down your throat, I'm going to sit here and say, well, this is the reason why.
For sure. Absolutely.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. He actually dropped another one, 40 rupees. He said, R-Truth is Doctor of Thugonomics with his vocals. Oh, I have so much to say about R-Truth. I know you were saying in your watch along there was a lot of interesting reactions to the main event.
Yes, I mean many people felt a certain way. I have my own personal take, and I waited till today to give my thoughts. So we'll get into that because I'm very excited to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into it. R-Truth is the man.
He really is. R-Truth is. I made a post, a true national treasure, if you will.
Yeah. We'll get into it. Shout out to
we'll get Tolino. We're gonna come back to this.
Yeah. I want to just take a second because I see our chat is blowing up. So I want to just give some shout outs to the people spending their Monday with us here on the channel. So we got Chris Galagos in the chat. He says, I got a feeling Dakota Kai or Shayna Baszler or Cora Jade will be Tony Storm's mystery opponents. Just a quick response to that. They are not going to be able to do that because they have a non-compete clause. But shout out to Chris for coming through in the chat. We have Trey Lusato in the chat. Indrit Amiri, he's in the chat. He says, "What's up, my brothers?" We got Josh Potts in the chat. We got Trevon Womakis. He says, R-Truth needs to go heel and go back to being K-Quick and rap with Cena. Laugh my fucking ass off. No. Love you, bro, but no. We just can't do that. Chris Gregg in the chat says, I love your video, Ango. Thank you, brother. We got Dark Justice in the chat. He says, R-Truth versus childhood hero. I love this.
We're going to have a conversation.
We're going to talk about it. My homie, Big Hero Chris in the chat. He says, what's up, fellas? So shout out to him as well. The wrestling old head. Yo, what's up, Ango and Billy TKO here with a late run-in.
That's all right, man. Just glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you, guys. We'll continue to be monitoring the chat and giving you guys shout outs along the way. Definitely love encouraging you guys in the chat, and shout out to everybody who's here joining us. We got a super chat from Darth Bane for $4.99. He says, I would have Cena retain to the end, then give a speech saying, I told you I'm retiring with the belt, then have the Money in the Bank winner cash in and win. Ooh, I have a lot of thoughts now that Cena won and the way they did it and everything. So maybe this is the time to just start talking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're here.
Well, what's your thoughts on this? What's your reaction?
So, okay, number one, love the match. That match was amazing top to bottom. I said it in my live stream. If that was the last time I got to see Randy Orton and John Cena go one-on-one, I'm satisfied. I'm very happy, right? Okay, so they obviously ended it in a very different way, a way that maybe none of us booked, right?
Yeah.
They decide to bring out R-Truth, who obviously has been campaigning for John Cena for the last couple weeks. So it's not like this is something new, right?
Yeah.
R-Truth and Jimmy Uso, they've been having these backstage segments, et cetera, right?
Yep.
So R-Truth comes out, saves the day. Got it. Helps Cena retain. So there were some interesting factors that went into this. Obviously, people were upset that they didn't get Cody Rhodes. They were upset. I've seen some people that were even upset with the idea that The Rock didn't come out, as if that was ever going to happen. But one thing that I seen, and it was after the promo, because John Cena obviously cut a very Doctor of Thugonomics like promo. You know, take a look, St. Louis. This is going to be the last time you see the real world champ. Okay, and that happens. And then he steps out of the ring. and he's obviously got like this very weird look on his face, right? He's hearing the crowd, and they showed it on TV. This crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Cena," and it looks like he's holding some kind of regret and some kind of it's like, man, like, did I? And I've talked about this before because I always thought this was actually going to be the route that they took, right? They couldn't have this guy be a bad guy forever because what they're doing is they're having John Cena go on this run as a bad guy, right? As this heel, and they're doing it against his greatest opponents,
Yep.
right? I made a video back in like August of last year, and I talked about like the John Cena greatest hits, right? He's going on his greatest hits run. It's just remixed, right?
Yep.
So I think at Saturday night's main event, we're going to see something with John Cena, and I think it's going to have to do with CM Punk. And I think we're going to get CM Punk and John Cena at Money in the Bank one more time. Obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, you know about the 2011 match that they had, whatever. But to get into the R-Truth thing, a lot of people have said, like, oh, maybe R-Truth wins the belt, or maybe R-Truth, goes. That's not what it is. And what I'm going to say here is, no, I think R-Truth is actually going to be the person who takes Cena out of this. I think R-Truth, even though Cena put him through a table in the press conference, I think he is the one who eventually down the line is going to bring Cena back down to life. Because R-Truth, he talked about it in a Chris Van Vliet interview, but he talked about how, comedy is everything. In hard times, it brings people down. It brings people down to earth.
Yeah.
And I think that can be said just about John Cena here. And, if he's going on like this Doctor of Thugonomics style run, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? If he's going to go out there, kind of talk with a little more swagger than maybe he used to. I genuinely think that Truth, and you can do a match with Cena versus Truth. You truly can. And maybe that happens at Saturday night's main event. I'm not 100% sure. And I'll shut up here soon. I'm going to let you get into what you're saying.
You're good.
But I think when you do it, regardless of the fact John Cena is going, he has to be brought back out of this. He needs to realize, and he needs to go through his greatest hits. Because if you listen to all of these promos that people are cutting, and it starts with Cody Rhodes, it goes into Randy Orton, and now we're going to go into CM Punk, who, if you guys remember, the night after it happened, right? John, you've been spewing bullshit for all these years, et cetera, et cetera. These people are the ones that are helping John Cena see, like, did I go away from what I said? Did I go away from everything that I once stood for? And maybe he didn't feel like he was wrong about it in the beginning, because a lot of the times when people make bold moves and bold mistakes, they never think about them in the beginning. It's always at the end where you think about them. So I think R-Truth is the person who is going to bring Cena back to life and bring him back down. And whether that be in October, whether that be in December, whether that be in August, I don't know when, but I do think that, and you're already starting to see the cracks in it. It's just facial expressions. It's so many different things. You're going to start seeing it more and more play out, because now all of the things that people are saying, and this is the one thing that heels hate, right? As a heel, you start to see it as, maybe a heel's been a heel too long. You see the cracks. You see what people are saying. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, man.
Let me just tell you, not a bad take at all. I 100% disagree, and I 100% believe that R-Truth is going to be the reason why John Cena now fully goes super heel. I actually think how you mentioned, like, R-Truth is going to be the reason why it kind of breaks him out of this, and you pay attention to John Cena's mannerisms and stuff, and maybe he has some regret. I think it makes sense, and it's valid, and it wouldn't shock me, obviously, if you're right. I think it's very logical. I think it's a very sound explanation to many, many things. What I will argue, though, is that when R-Truth goes up against John Cena, you're going to see that regret in John Cena's eyes, and then he's just going to beat the living shit out of R-Truth. I think that happens 1,000,000%. Like, I think when he has that match with R-Truth, and I believe it's taking place at Saturday night's main event, this upcoming SNME.
Nothing's
it hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
It obviously hasn't been announced, but I believe that's what they're setting it up for.
But now I want you to remember, and I'm so sorry to cut you off, and I will let you continue. I'm so sorry, because I know you just let me talk.
No, you're good.
I just have to preface this, and I have to say, that is John Cena's next appearance, is Saturday night's main event. So that would mean you're entrusting R-Truth to sell this story by himself without John Cena.
Easy.
But go ahead.
Easy. If that's the case, R-Truth can do it. R-Truth can do it. In fact, what I would do if I were them is have R-Truth literally do the challenge, and John Cena just like ignores it. You know, he's not there. He ignores it. R-Truth can do this. But I think R-Truth is going to be the one that actually pushes John Cena to go even more heel. It's the empathy, right? Everybody will have empathy for R-Truth. His whole shtick for the last several years is he's John Cena's childhood hero, or John Cena is his childhood hero. So yeah, I think, listen, and it goes back to the super chat, but you know, when Darth Bane says I would have Cena retain to, you know, the Money in the Bank cash in or whatever, I don't hate the take, but I think John Cena's final match, Saturday night's main event, December 13th, Boston, Massachusetts. I think we have the scenario where Cody Rhodes wins it back.
So I'm just going to tell you like this. I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
You know, about, you know, John Cena completely just demolishing R-Truth, which I ultimately think is going to happen too. But you said one word that described John Cena's whole face run as it was: empathy. John Cena will do that. He will. He just put him through a table. That's not enough. He's ultimately just maybe hit him with the belt, et cetera, et cetera. But when I think of the long term, R-Truth is like the ultimate good guy, right? He's just loved by everybody. He's not going to give up on John.
No, he's not. But when John beats the shit out of him, it changes everything.
It doesn't, though, because if you're a real good person, I don't think that's the case, because you could get beat down 100,000 times by your mom, but you love your mom, right?
Yes, but here's the thing: we're talking about R-Truth, who, despite these bad things,
that's his childhood hero.
Yeah, so despite all the bad things that Cena has done for him, I think that's why it gets even better, because when he forces John Cena to fully snap in that match, like, that should be the most vicious version of John Cena we've seen.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You know, but and then
I'm not even talking about through the match. I think ultimately R-Truth is going to be the one who brings him back, because John, and something tells me that maybe WWE is backtracking a little bit here.
I don't think so.
I do. Something tells me that they're moving a little bit behind because of maybe the Rock situation, whatever, right? You can't 100% guarantee that. You can't say that for fact. I just think that he is R-Truth, funny enough, is actually probably more important than maybe what the Rock was here when it comes to how this story ends. To me, R-Truth looks like the most important person.
He's not a major part of how the story ends, though.
I think I would actually say otherwise, and I think you looking at it like that is exactly why it is important.
I don't know. But we're gonna see. After Cena gets through with R-Truth, then Cena moves on to Punk, Money in the Bank, Punk and Cena. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just telling you right now, I think R-Truth is the reason why they fully commit to John Cena's heel turn. And that's actually going to make his heel turn even better.
I guess we're going to see. Because if that's the case, then yes, he will retire as a heel, et cetera, et cetera.
No, but he doesn't retire as a heel. He makes it to Saturday night's main event in Boston. Babyface turn.
Okay.
He passes the torch officially to Cody.
We're going to see. We're going to see.
Shout out to Darth Bane for the super chat. Toledo Channel dropping 100 rupees. What WWE needs to do right now is to plot women's storylines culminating at Evolution. Triple H can make a statement using Evolution that women could draw money. So the rumor is, I want to say July 5th. Maybe I'm wrong, but the plan is for them to do Evolution 2 at the Mohegan Sun. It's like a 5,000 seat venue or something like that. I'm not sure entirely 100% how it would be set up, that kind of thing. WWE hasn't made a formal announcement, so I'm not going to act like that's the case. As of right now, technically, they haven't made a formal announcement.
Evolution doesn't exist right now.
Technically speaking, there's a lot of reports, a lot of things that indicate that it's happening. It is very clear to me that everything that they're doing on TV for the women is leading to Evolution 2.
Yes.
With that being said, it goes back to my Bayley and Becky situation. You can do so many big moments and show that the women draw if you start aligning certain areas together, right? So you have Rhea and Io and Julia. They're all in the mix. You have stuff happening in NXT, which I think you have to put that into consideration. I think WWE also should look at their mid-card titles. Also, I think TNA. We saw Joe Hendry at WrestleMania. Can we get Masha Slamovich at Evolution? How cool would it be if we did like a interpromotional, AAA WWE NXT TNA match at Evolution?
I think that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Like I'm just saying there's a lot of things that you can do in this realm of things. And Triple H could make a huge statement if the women do successful stuff on Evolution.
For sure.
It's going to be based on the stories, and it's not going to be based on, Becky Lynch fighting for the Intercontinental Championship and that's it. It's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be huge. You got to have Charlotte. You got to have Bianca. You got to have, I would also think maybe one potential idea for WWE that I would love to see. Evolution should have 5 matches, maybe 6 matches on the card. But I do believe they should do a battle royal. And I want to throw this out there. I think they should do a battle royal and use that as a proponent of somebody. Because as of right now, there is no King and Queen of the Ring tournament. So instead of WWE doing another Queen of the Ring tournament this year, maybe do a battle royal where you put a whole bunch of people in there and winner can choose. They get a contract for any women's championship belt that they want.
I could get behind that.
Something like that. But like I said, they have to go bases loaded, grand slam to knock this out of the park.
For sure. Absolutely. Would agree.
Shout out to Toledo Channel for the 100 rupees. D-Rec Tube coming through. Black and gold versus black and silver.
Oh.
So we were talking about the era of the OGs versus more of the rookies and the newer faces that you're seeing. And this is a great way to look at it, right? Two different eras. So,
because that is what we're seeing.
100%. I think that has to happen at War Games, bro.
It does. I think if you do it smart, you have it culminate at War Games. You got all summer, midway through fall to build it.
Would be huge, man.
For sure.
You use Evolution as like the launch pad for that too.
Yeah.
Definitely something to consider.
For sure.
Phil drops the super chat. He says he dropped $9.99. He says the old guard versus the new generation of women is interesting. I don't hate it. I honestly quite like it. They all need something new, but they also need to make room for the new gen stars of the world. And that's really how you're going to do it, honestly.
Yep.
If we could be real honest here, the way that it works is in order to make room for the new stars, they just got rid of women tag teams. It's important that they go about this where there is a legitimate focus on the women coming up on the show.
Agreed.
Like that's the reason why I'm so keen on this is like Charlotte got a lot of hate coming back going for the world title. Becky got a lot of hate coming back going for the IC title. Like there's this thing where that should rub fans the wrong way, right? It should piss people off. So, okay, they lose their opportunities. That's WWE listening to their fans. But imagine you have Tiffany Stratton, Julia, Roxanne, whoever else you want, Lyra Valkyria, and they go up against Charlotte, Becky, Bayley. I don't know if you throw in Rhea and Bianca. Like, I don't know what other names you throw in for sure. You mentioned Alexa Bliss, not a bad idea.
Right.
There's a lot to consider there.
For sure. Absolutely. So much to consider.
Yeah. One thing that I like too is NXT 2021.
Yes.
Maybe we kind of saw something like this with the NXT 2.0 people coming in, the breakout stars.
that was like Kyle O'Reilly. They were like, because who was all a part of that? Tommaso Ciampa,
Tony D'Angelo. I think it was Tony D'Angelo, Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker. I forgot.
Was it Von Wagner?
Maybe Von Wagner was in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure. but they went up against Black and Gold guys. It was
which was
new era versus old era.
It was like Kyle O'Reilly, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and one other person. Man, I can't remember.
Was it Roderick Strong?
It might have been Roderick Strong.
I can't remember for sure. I'm not going to sit here. Grayson Waller was probably in it too.
Yes, Grayson Waller was in it. I do remember that.
Maybe Solo Sikoa was. I can't remember. Let me see. NXT Gold 2.0 versus Black and Gold. War Games. Was it War Games match or no? I can't remember. Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. It was War Games match. I knew I wasn't freaking out. Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo versus Johnny Gargano, LA Knight, Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay. All right. I could have swore Kyle O'Reilly was a part of that.
No, you know what it was? I think at that time, I don't think did he leave for AEW at that point? No.
Mm-mm.
No, because he was on NXT 2.0.
Was he the one doing stuff with Von Wagner?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He did stuff with Von Wagner and Johnny Gargano.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So basically, kind of copy that, right?
Right.
Shout out to Phil for the $9.99. The wrestling old head coming through with $5. He says, if Bayley returns to WWE and aligns with Lyra, what do you think of Becky bringing out her own Bayley? LFG's Bayley Humphrey. That would be crazy to debut somebody like that.
Yeah, just kind of off the rip.
Off the rip, no NXT run. But I will say this. I don't think this is happening. No disrespect to you. I don't think this is happening. The only person that I remember that kind of went through developmental without actually being on NXT television was Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was doing the house show loops in Florida.
Yeah.
But he wasn't on NXT TV. And then he got called up to the main roster. And that was, I mean, you could tell he was green as grass. Like he was not polished at all. But he had such a good look and they didn't really need him to do much because he was joining with the Wyatt family and, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would actually call up somebody from LFG right away.
I don't think so.
So.
Yeah.
I don't hate the idea, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think Bayley aligns with Lyra, to be honest. I don't see her being a babyface.
I don't hate that take, by the way. What you said? I don't hate it. Do not hate it at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Shout out to the wrestling old head for the $5 super chat. If you guys want to get more super chats in, go ahead and do that now. It guarantees that your questions and comments get read. As you can see, all these super chats have come in and literally have led to some incredible discussion, which as always we appreciate. Billy, you know, it was funny because one thing that I was thinking of a lot when I was watching Backlash, you know, we kind of talked about it earlier in the sense of like building, you know, for the future and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with one thing. And maybe this is just me, but for a 5-match card, there's no reason why Dom, Mysterio, and Penta should be going less than 10 minutes.
For sure. Yeah. And that's fair. And I think that was supposed to be your down point. And, you know, because we talk about pay-per-views having like down times and moments of like, all right, I can breathe for a second.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be it. But when you have those two, they are not supposed to be the down point, right? Those are not supposed to be your filler guys. Not Penta, not Dom Mysterio. I was a fan of what they did. I was a fan of the match. But like you said, you know, 10 minutes long, you question, especially when you include shenanigans.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of takes away from everything that they did.
Yeah.
So I would agree with you there. But it's kind of hard to say, right? Because Dom is obviously still working a little bit as a heel. So him having, you know, these kind of smaller matches, you know, obviously leads to him retaining because of El Grande Americano, which is what we kind of all predicted.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It is a weird world, but definitely deserved more time.
So the problem that I have, and you use the words, and I'm paraphrasing, but you said the downtime, you know, there's a match that kind of needs to be like the downtime, let people breathe. If there's 13 matches on a card, 10 matches on a card, 9 matches on a card,
I could say yes to that.
yeah. But when I used to watch NXT TakeOver, 5 matches with your 5 best stories, like Triple H would say, there should not be no downtime. Everybody should be given a good amount of time.
Absolutely.
And that is something that I needed to really throw out there.
That's fair.
That was one of the things I didn't like, honestly. It was very disappointing to me. Very disappointing.
That's very fair.
Yeah. We got a super chat from our good friend Phil dropping $9.99. He says, I feel like Cena's heel turn has worked in some ways and hasn't in others. Some crowds can't bring themselves to boo Cena, especially when they know it's his final year. Thoughts on this? Billy, I'll let you go first. I have a very calculated take here, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. And I don't want to be super long-winded because I know I will be super long-winded.
Yeah, I won't go crazy long. I'll just kind of give you, because I don't necessarily have a crazy long answer here.
Yeah.
I have more of, that's kind of exactly how I think WWE feels, is it's worked in some areas, others it necessarily hasn't. It's kind of, it's so tough, right? Because WWE, when they did this, I don't think they necessarily put into consideration, that it's no longer about Cena getting booed, because even like how Ango said earlier, if he were to just go attack R-Truth and just beat the living hell out of them, people are going to love that. Why? Because people just naturally respect John Cena. So I think it's a little tough. I think I agree here that it has worked in some ways, but also has not. Yeah, man, it's kind of tough. And I think it ultimately leads to John Cena just going back to being John Cena.
Yeah, so I'm going to go out here. Like I said, it's a little bit more calculated than that. Like, it's a little bit more detailed, a little bit more in depth. But I'm going to try my best not to be super long-winded, and I apologize if I am.
Go ahead.
I think in certain ways, John Cena, it's working. But I think WWE is conditioning fans, letting people know it's scripted. And so the problem is WWE lets the world know it's scripted. This year, they've been very, very keen on that. We also know that they have WWE Unreal, which is behind the scenes show that's coming to Netflix, right? So they're peeling back the curtain a lot more than normal. Traditionally in wrestling, what makes a heel turn cool, and this is the problem with fans, all just time has changed everything, as you guys can tell. Back in the day, heels and baby faces hanging out together, it doesn't make sense. WWE does media appearances and heels and baby faces be hanging out together. It's just well documented that it's not real. So the problem is with John Cena, he's at the point where he gets a good reaction from people because he is respected and people do know that it is his final run. But I think also WWE has conditioned fans to no longer care about this. Even when you look at Dominic Mysterio, it was to the point where, yes, he was a great heel. And I do think everything that he did with Rey Mysterio was phenomenal storytelling, but it became the cool thing to boo Dominic Mysterio. It became part of the act. It was one of those things where when Dom Mysterio was doing that, he became a cool part of the act. So when you boo Dom because that was just fun. It was like, okay, how loud can we get, the crowd to boo? So I think when you look at John Cena and his whole situation, people just have too much respect for him, right? People love John Cena and people know that John Cena is not this dickhead, right? That's the reality. We live in social media times. And so the thing is, if John Cena, and you have to be careful with John Cena, because if John Cena goes and does everything The Rock did to Cody, that's not going to get him heat. I would actually argue the reason why John Cena is a way better or a way more different of a heel than The Rock, like being the final boss, I don't think Dwayne The Rock Johnson is truly that likable, to be honest. I think a lot of people see The Rock as he's left the WWE, he's got his brands, he's doing movies, this and that. So when John Cena, was off of TV and The Rock was going up and beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes, John Cena and The Rock are two completely different guys. People looked at The Rock and they're like, man, just like he annoys us, he barely shows up. Oh, now he's being a great heel, whatever, right? If John Cena did the same thing as The Rock, I don't think people genuinely, I think it would be so cool for them. Like that's what they wanted, I think this is such a hard task in professional wrestling, but I don't really think there is quote unquote great heels anymore. I think the wrestling audience has changed. Even if you watch AEW or TNA, there is this level of respect. The curtain has been peeled back so much. You see what these guys do behind the scenes. You see how they interact on Twitter with fans, and everybody's got a Cameo page, or they got a Patreon or a podcast, or they're doing these things. You're seeing them from outside the lens, like it's a completely different perspective. So for John Cena's heel turn, it's not that it hasn't worked or it has. I think it's a matter of John Cena is playing his role perfectly. So you should have those elements of John Cena being like, oh, do I regret this, right? Because all of his promos are disrespecting the crowd, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But like you see his reactions, oh, he should be kind of like, man, did I make the wrong mistake? Did I make the wrong mistake? Because that's what a human being would do. Because at the end of the day, we all know John Cena as a human being, the way that he's done 5 million Make-A-Wishes and all of these different things. Like he has a likable personality. Like this is a guy who does red carpet and does movies, and he left the WWE. But John Cena has always made it clear, despite him leaving, he'll always be a WWE guy for life. So there is that respect. It's just completely different. You know what I mean? Some people look at The Rock coming back as a pure business move. People look at John Cena coming back as, man, this guy loves wrestling. So he's just playing his character, and he's doing a good job with it. And I don't think people want to boo him. And I think at some point they will, But the whole scope of the business, this whole thing, is just completely changed. Even when you look at MJF, and I use this greatly, MJF at one point I thought was a fucking incredible heel. Like this guy was just such a great heel. Then he did his promo on Tony Khan. He got cheered, bro. He did the cool things. Heels can't be cool. Look at Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. They're a heel group, but it's cool. At the end of the day, it's not about whether it works or doesn't work. I think it's about whether they portray the character correctly. The crowd noise, as long as they're making noise, that's all that matters. And I think in order for this to change, to be honest with you, and again, I apologize for being long-winded, but the thing about it being, the thing about this whole, if you want it to change with the crowd and stuff, it's not about peeling back the curtain or not. It's you have to do things that people will legitimately hate. And by the way, we are at a time where if people legitimately hate it, they're not going to watch it. So John Cena, like if John Cena, for example, won the belt and then he just ran away, like he actually said, like he ain't showing up, right? He's the last world champion, last real one. He dipped and left. Everybody would go crazy. They would hate him. They would legitimately hate him. People would probably be legitimately mad, though. You know what I mean? So at that point, do you really risk pissing off your audience? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think you can.
No, I would agree. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's just a lot when it comes to John Cena, and there's a lot of different ways that they can go, I think. And I think there is, comfortable ways to go. There's not so comfortable. But you did say something that kind of stood out to me. And it was that, about, kind of just being cool, right? Like the Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker thing and that being cool, and how you feel that maybe the idea of the quote unquote heel has changed. And I think that's one thing just to say, not to, but you think about the NWO and the reason why that worked was because it was cool at the time.
Yeah.
And WWE has always been really good at following those trends of, a lot of people compare it to pop culture. And I don't know if it's necessarily pop culture that makes it cool. I think it's just like you said, the character that becomes cool.
Oh, it's tough.
It is.
That's hard. That's hard. It's a very, very hard task. And I think at the end of the day, people got to stop looking at it as like, oh, well, people are booing or not or whatever. I think for John Cena to really be the most hated heel in the world, he would have to say F them kids. And all that stuff.
He'd have to say something about we all know what he'd have to say about.
We know he would have to go and do some crazy shit. But by the way, if John Cena did the crazy shit, oh my God, this was so cool. The double-edged sword, bro. You can't. You can't. And that's why it's very difficult for heels out there to exist. I don't care what anybody says. There's not a heel out there That like, give me a heel. Roman Reigns, bro, perfect example. Heel turn. People loved him. How many people were throwing the ones up when he would come down with the bloodline?
He became the hottest thing in sports wrestling. Or in pro wrestling. Excuse me. I said sports.
I have a hard time with this because it's like even the Death Riders, they're heels. They're not cool. But they're not even really getting booed. Like,
right. This is true. This is true.
It's just something to keep in mind. That's all I'm saying. It's a whole different era in terms of wrestling. And if you really want to change the way things are, I mean, you have to do it in such a way where it's actually disrespectful. Like if John Cena had left WWE, for example, with the belt and he was going red carpets with the WWE belt and all this shit. And he's like, I'm not showing up to work, you know? But also John Cena would have to portray himself as a heel in person in public, but he doesn't. Because after the camera shut off in WWE, what is John Cena doing? He gets stopped by paparazzi and he's being nice to them. Fans ask him, they see him in public at a restaurant, ask for a photo. Yeah, of course, let's take a picture. But if John Cena wanted to be a really good heel, you would have to truly convince the world he's an evil person. You can't do that. It's a very difficult task.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very difficult task. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Again, sorry that became kind of long-winded, but still had to be said.
Right. That's all right, man.
Miles Jubert Roberson, member for 24 months. Let's go. 2 years
Miles.
of membership. Miles says, what's up, y'all? How you feeling? Ango, crew, and my Billy Universe fam. Your thoughts on Cena's Thugonomics-esque post promo. Talked about this a little bit earlier. I love it. To me, it's one of those cool things, you know, but everything's a callback, right? Like everything in that match was a callback. Everything about Cena is a callback. You kind of said it the right way. Like his farewell tour is kind of like his greatest hits. Like,
and I think
2025.
And I'll be honest, my favorite version of John Cena has always been the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Yeah,
it will never not be. So, I mean, shout out to Miles though, man. 24 months. That's a long time, huh?
Yeah, appreciate Miles, man. Thank you so much.
He's the one who came up with my new name, the Billy Universe.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, dude figured it out.
Love it, love it, love it. Toledo Channel dropping 100 rupees. Your take on Javon's burst on X. Some people say he burnt the bridge, but if the texts have voice, he can cut some crazy promos developing his character. Listen, I'm gonna tell you guys, I love what Javon Evans did. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He deleted the tweets. Probably not a good look because WWE probably didn't like that. For those who don't know what's being mentioned here, Javon Evans, Ricochet both went at it back and forth. But the controversy stems from the fact that Javon Evans called Tony Khan a crackhead. You know, it's funny. Everybody loves tribalism until tribalism happens between two wrestlers, you know?
For sure. And I forget, I think it was Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell said something. She was like, tribalism only exists. And we've said it. We've said it. Indy Hartwell is just getting this love here because she's obviously Indy Hartwell. But tribalism doesn't really exist with like wrestling or wrestlers. It only exists through the fans. We're the ones that created. I can imagine all the wrestlers, like they probably text each other, hang out, do things.
No. But tribalism was heavily pushed from AEW's inception.
Yes, absolutely.
Tony Khan has already come out and said he wants to be the challenger brand and all this stuff.
That's where it started. It started by being competition.
Yeah. So what I want to say is I see people in the chat talking about this. Oh, HBK, he did every drug, blah, 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 this, that, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about that. That's not why I think this is funny. Why I think this is funny is Ricochet is hilariously dumb on Twitter. I think Ricochet is one of those guys who is in character on Twitter, which is fine. Do your thing. I don't care. I respect it. Go ahead. But it's cringy, right? In my opinion, I find it cringy. So he basically says he would squash Javon Evans, right? That's all it really stemmed from. Javon Evans goes out there on Twitter. He's a young kid, bro. Ricochet's an old-ass man trolling on Twitter.
Javon Evans fires back. Javon Evans is just being a young kid, and that's what young kids
But
do.
Here's the thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it from both sides.
Yeah, I think... Again, if you're competition, no, there's not an issue with it.
It to me, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't think this is a big deal. I think everybody who wants to be up in arms about it is so fucking hilariously stupid because of the fact that this is what you guys wanted. You guys wanted a wrestling war. So a wrestling war means not just a whole bunch of anonymous Twitter accounts going back and forth, but let the fucking wrestlers go back. back and forth. Javon Evans took shots at Tony Khan. If your fucking feelings are hurt, that sucks for you. But guess what? It's entertaining. Everybody wants war until the battle actually starts. And that's the funny thing. Like, to me personally, I think, yeah, Javon Evans calling Tony Khan a crackhead is crazy. But guess what? It's also crazy when Tony Khan went on TV and called WWE the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling.
Yeah, so, this is true.
So these are things but guess what? It happens and you move on. Handle your business. Do your thing. There is no such thing as burning bridges in professional wrestling. Jay Malachi appeared on AEW before signing with WWE. He obviously chose not to sign with AEW. It's a good thing he didn't sign with AEW.
For sure.
And Tony Khan and Triple H.
He would have worked for a crackhead.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But all I'm saying is wrestling companies want to make money. Nobody gives a shit. At the end of the day,
yeah,
it is what it is. But I do think if you guys have to defend a company super hard, at least try to get some money from them.
For sure.
Please get some benefits, bro. Please try to get some benefits.
Make it's like money.
Listen, I'm just saying, as a guy who talks about professional wrestling, I don't give a shit about two of these companies. I just watch the shows and I judge the shows. All I'm saying is if you're going to be a diehard AEW or WWE fan, just try to get some benefits from it because I think it's kind of dumb to do that shit for free, But
go get you some money, man.
Go get you some money. Shout out to Tolino Channel. I thought that was funny. Billy got 2 shout outs. Dax became a new member on Billy's channel.
Shout out Dax, man.
As well as a super chat. He says another person who's supposed to be a heel, but he is so cool. Crowds chanting his name in every city is Jacob Fatu.
Absolutely. Hands down, Jacob Fatu was, supposed to come in, be this vicious monster, which he is. He is doing that, right?
Yeah.
But he is just one of those. I talked about it on my watch along actually for Backlash. Jacob Fatu is like the definition of like somebody who I could easily relate with due to, just their upbringing, the background that he has. Like he's so easily relatable. If you've ever sat down and maybe scrolled on TikTok or watched just a short clip of the story of Jacob Fatu, you would know he is a person that you easily want to get behind. He is a person that I'm rooting for all the way, even if on TV he's supposed to be a bad guy, even if that's what they're selling me. And I just want to say I couldn't agree with Dex's statement here anymore.
I would like to think of it as like, okay, let's say this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Solo Sikoa is hated. Since he joined the Bloodline, people have exposed him for people have said he's not talented.
Yes.
They don't like they don't like the way he wrestles. They judge the way he looks. They judge the way he does his mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take him as serious. They don't respect him enough, right?
He became the B+.
But Jacob Fatu was, if anybody saw his journey and saw, he was WWE was trying to bring him in years ago. Vince McMahon and WWE said no because of the criminal record and stuff.
That background.
There was things that WWE held back on. WWE finally brought him in, and oh my God, this guy is as good as we all have seen, from the days of MLW.
It's everything that a lot of us wrestling fans who watched previous and knew already.
Yeah. So the thing is, when you see Solo Sikoa in NXT, he was great. Solo Sikoa was awesome in NXT. He was the street fighter, street champion type shit. Like, he was cool. Gets to the main roster, completely changes. It works out for Solo Sikoa because now he's a heel. So as he portrays this heel, WWE actually got it right with Solo Sikoa because everybody knew that Solo Sikoa would be compared to Jacob Fatu.
For sure. It was inevitable. It was bound to happen. Again, they had to pick and choose here.
So, great. You have Jacob Fatu originally being heel with him, but it hasn't been that long where it's like they've kind of teased Jacob Fatu for a minute, like turning face. So they're going to keep doing that, and eventually we get Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. And the good thing about that is Solo Sikoa is good enough to do this kind of feud, and Solo Sikoa is not being pushed down your throat as future world champion.
For sure. Absolutely.
I think that works out great. It's not that big of a deal.
I do. Just real fast. Dex did become a member. I just want him to know. Dex, there is a post that I made. It is a members only post. You should now be able to see it. There is a phone number, so you are able to text me personally, and I will reach back out to you. It is personal, so just understand that there is a phone number there for all my members.
Very, very dope. If you guys want to learn more about that, we are also live on Billy's channel. You could become a member on his channel. I told him earlier when he showed me the idea, I said, yo, that's a good idea. I might steal it from you. And he goes, you should. So
I do think you should, man. I think it's an awesome way to access everybody and, just be there for them all.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Shout out to Dex for the super chat and the membership on Billy's channel.
Thank you so much, man.
Greatly appreciated. Tolino channel coming through with 100 rupees. Not happening, but Truth recreating Goldust on Booker's bed, saying, why, John, why? The way Truth interrupted Cena was like, I don't need to knock it. It's my hero. Listen, man, with R-Truth, I just want to see one thing. I want to see him show up on SmackDown kind of like pissed off, heartbroken. I want to see R-Truth disappointed because R-Truth is he's such a great actor, bro. That's the thing about R-Truth. He's just really, really good at acting.
For sure.
I want everybody to have sympathy for R-Truth. And I kind of want him to have that mental battle where he still isn't convinced that John Cena is a bad, vicious man.
Which I said was going to happen. I do think that ultimately is going to happen.
Yeah. And then that's it. Simple as that. I think then you set up that match with him and Cena, and I think there you go. It's beautiful. And listen, people will get mad. Oh, R-Truth is not deserving of a WWE championship match. But if you're the one saying that, bro, I just don't think you like to have fun. It's become R-Truth's whole shtick for like the last fucking forever. John Cena's his childhood hero. It doesn't make sense. He is way older than John Cena.
This is true. It does not
funny.
Make any sense.
R-Truth is funny as hell, and he makes it funny, and it's perfect.
Facts.
Oh, and by the way, you have a fun little story, and there's no pressure on WWE, to do listen. Every person that versus John Cena right now likely isn't winning the belt. So why are we going to have John Cena go off and fight Carmelo Hayes or Aleister Black or somebody that he's going to bury, right?
Yeah.
He's going up against established people that can afford the loss. Not a big deal. It's perfect.
It is. It's perfect.
I love it. Shout out to Tolino channel for the super chat. Brian McHattie dropping $2. He says Jacob has that NWO type of peel. Cheer the heels. Yeah, like NWO was cool. Jacob Fatu is cool.
He is.
But he's good. And how do you listen, this is another thing too that we didn't get to talk about. But how do you bring in a guy who is a really, really, really good wrestler and then tell him, don't be a good wrestler?
Mm-hmm.
You see him go and he hits his moonsaults. He hits all these big moves. His aura follows with those big moves. How do you tell him, hey, man, we can't let you be cool, bro? That's what makes him cool. It's the fact that this guy does the crazy shit.
And he's a bigger dude. That's what I thought always made him cool.
Of course, yeah. So it's you're going to cheer him. And the cool thing is, here's the cool thing. There's been times where Solo Sikoa has dropped a promo or done something funny, and people will sit there and laugh and they'll cheer for it.
Yeah.
But when it gets back down to business and following the story, Solo Sikoa continues to get booed. Mm-hmm. They don't lean into it all the time with Solo Sikoa. With Jacob Fatu, it's a little bit different. Lean into the fact that he's this guy because it's going to make the story better and it's going to make Solo Sikoa a better heel.
Yeah, ultimately. I agree.
You know what I mean? I don't see how you don't do that. Shout out to Brian McHattie for the $2 super chat. Definitely some interesting takes, a lot of interesting comments. It's been a really, really enjoyable show. I had one more thing that I want to discuss a little bit in depth. So this is your guys' chance. If you guys are interested, if you guys want to come in any more super chats, whatever it may be, get those in now before the show concludes, because I do have one more thing to talk about. We did get 2 more super chats. Brian McHattie dropping another $2. He says, Jeff Cobb or Matanza Cueto, which is better? Jeff Cobb, listen, as a guy who loved Lucha Underground, I love the fact that people are even thinking of Matanza. I would love for WWE to just do something because of AAA and they could do, the Matanza gimmick. But I don't think that's going to happen. Jeff Cobb clearly doing this stuff with Solo Sikoa in the group. Just kind of want to throw that out there. I don't think we're gonna see Matanza. I would love it if they did. It's like it's like Abyss, right? Abyss is in WWE, but we don't get to see Abyss. Like,
yeah, I think that is one of those things.
Yeah, but I love Jeff Cobb. I think Jeff Cobb is better. But Matanza was very cool considering Lucha Underground
and everything that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love Jeff Cobb, man. I think he's just going to be a beast on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, there's just no pressure. There's no pressure.
None at all.
Yeah, there is no pressure on him to be something massive. You know, this is great. He gets a good payday, gets to be under WWE umbrella, might get a mid-card title at some point. You never know. I mean, things could catch on, but
for sure.
Super excited about that. Shout out to Brian McCaddy for those super chats. Jonathan Lizarga came through with a super chat on Billy's channel for $4.99. He says, it's not going to happen. Imagine R-Truth winning another WWE surprise. I'm thinking you're talking about him winning another championship.
Yeah, talking about R-Truth winning a championship.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna keep it simple. It's a super chat on your channel, so you can address it. But I'll just kind of say, when it comes to R-Truth, I genuinely believe in my heart, I would love nothing more than for him to have one serious heel turn. And it's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And I know it's not going to be a popular opinion, but what if he followed his footsteps of his childhood hero and also turned heel?
That'd be interesting.
I love R-Truth as a heel. It's something where, like, he's so talented. He was such a great heel. You know, is it a possibility that maybe WWE would go about that? But I don't know.
Maybe. So I'll say this. Obviously I'm no different than anybody, right? I think we all kind of want R-Truth to at least have some kind of title run, you know, before he goes. I do think it would be awesome for that to happen. Do I think it's actually going to happen? No, I would say otherwise. I don't think it is going to happen. I think kind of just following what Ango said there is that you know, he needs one more like serious heel run, and I think maybe then you could put a championship on him. So I guess that would be my thought process there. But I have to say, Jonathan, not a bad take. There is obviously any type of possibility for that to happen that easily could. And just want to say thank you for the super chat, brother.
Shout out to Jonathan. Good stuff. Miles Gilbert Roberson dropping a $2 super chat about Solo and Jacob. When do you think it implodes?
SummerSlam. Am I crazy for thinking that?
For some reason, I could see them holding off until Mania next year.
Oh, good Lord. What?
Not that I want them to. That's my battle with this, is I could see them doing that. I could see WWE. I think they would be making a mistake, but Triple H is always doing things long term. I think SummerSlam would be perfect. Low key, I think even Money in the Bank would be perfect. Is Money in the Bank before SummerSlam this year?
Yeah, it's June 7th.
June 7th. You're right. Thank you. Yeah, let's say Money in the Bank.
You think Money in the Bank?
Yeah, let's say Money in the Bank. Put Solo Sikoa in the Money in the Bank match.
I think that's where you could potentially have it kind of implode.
Yeah, like when I say implode, it's the moment where it completely changes everything. Money in the Bank match, whether you put Solo Sikoa in the match or Jacob Fatu, one should screw over the other.
For sure. I could see that happening. That would make a lot of sense if they did it like that. If they did the match and then you kind of start to see the cracks kind of happen there.
It would be kind of dope if you had Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb both in that match. And Solo Sikoa tries to help Jeff Cobb and in turn screws over Jacob Fatu.
Hmm.
And that's the moment where it's like, oh my God, Jacob Fatu is officially a babyface. I don't know. I don't know.
I could see that taking place.
I don't know. All I know is I want to address this. Shout out to Miles, by the way. Thank you for the super chat.
Shout out Miles, man.
I just want to address this. Pete says, David, is Jericho getting AEW world title shots? And don't compare the legend Jericho to a comedy act in truth. Well, we're not going to talk about Jericho, but we are going to talk about Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, just a few of those guys. Samoa Joe, all getting world championship title opportunities. These are not young acts. These are legends in the game getting world championship opportunities. I just want to throw that out there. It's happening across every company. So same thing, Frankie Kazarian going after Joe Hendry, you know, it's very common. D-Rec Tube dropping $2 super chat. He says, Jimmy's been hanging out with R-Truth a lot.
It's so funny because at first it like didn't click in my mind that it's like Jimmy Uso that he's talking about.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Jimmy Uso. That's what I'm taking.
Yeah, I am too. But in my head initially, I heard Jimmy been hanging with R-Truth a lot, and I thought a little Jimmy.
Oh my God.
It's so
Ain't that
funny.
something, bro?
It is. It is. It really is.
Yeah. I love R-Truth, bro.
For sure. For sure.
Do you have a problem with R-Truth being a comedy act?
No, not at all. I love R-Truth. I think that's where he fits the role best.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, at this point, I mean, it is a running gag. Everybody wants to see who he makes break. He almost made John Cena break character in the press conference.
Yeah, dude, Johnny put his head down. Just like it, inevitably, R-Truth, I believe, should stay the same the whole way around. I don't think you have to change R-Truth. He's one of those guys where it's just always going to work.
But that's kind of why I want to see him change just one more
That's
time.
fair. That's fair. That I don't disagree. I don't hate it, but I'm for him staying the same.
Yeah. Crazy.
For
Absolutely
sure.
crazy, bro. What a...
I just want to say one thing. I know before, I'm not sure if we're going to jump off here, but we don't live here. I have seen him trying to become a member on my channel. I just want to say, brother, if you want, reach out to me on X. It's Billy DTKO on X, and we'll figure that out and get that squared away.
Cool. Yeah, seriously, guys, a lot of great stuff on today's show. What a great conversation. Love it.
Sure.
And I appreciate you guys all for coming through. Just again, we like to shout out to people in our chat. So Zach Pack comes through. He says R-Truth is a diamond. David Maj says Cena had a good Backlash match. Nats fan says W Stream Boys. Let's see. Let's keep going. Shout out to David Decker. He says R-Truth is awesome. We got a lot of people in here, man. And then, of course, we got to shout out all of our contributors to the show. Toledo Channel, Phil, Right Hand Cam, Darth Bane, D-Rec Tube, Phil, The Wrestling Old Head, Miles Jubert Roberson, Dex, Jonathan Lazarga. Shout out to all of you guys as well for super chats across my channel and Billy's channel, becoming members and stuff like that. We appreciate it. I think this is the perfect time to end the show. I thought Backlash was honestly really awesome. It was really nice actually not watching it live and just being able to watch it and dissect and just kind of lay back and relax and enjoy. So we'll obviously see what happens. I'm super geeked. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about Raw and everything else that's happening in professional wrestling. Billy, I'm assuming you'll be live tonight.
I will be live for a Raw watch along. So if you guys want to tune in, I go live. I start normally around 7:50, so about 10 minutes before the show goes on. And then, we'll see how long after. I'm going to try and incorporate some special things over there to make it even longer a little bit after the show. So, yeah, if you guys want to tune in, I am doing a Raw watch along tonight. I will be live. We're going to be over there hanging out. It's a lot of fun, man. If you guys haven't tuned into one, I definitely suggest coming and checking it out. I don't think you guys would be disappointed at all. The chat's rocking over there, man.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude today's live stream. We appreciate you guys all for watching and tuning in and showing love, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh my God.
Goodness.
Oh my God. We're back with a buzzer beater super chat. D-RecTube coming through at $2 says, I meant Uso. Could he factor?
Could he play a factor?
Could he play a factor? Okay. Well, I think that's going to require a little bit of a deep dive.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have another conversation real quick.
Guys, I'm telling you right now, the buzzer beater super chats are always funny. So if you guys have any more plans to get those super chats, just do it now because seriously,
hurry up.
I feel bad because what will happen is sometimes we'll get super chats immediately after we're off the air, you know.
Yes.
Okay, Jimmy Uso in 2025, where does he stand with you right now?
I think he is well above where he was previous.
Sure.
I think he has now separated himself from that bloodline factor.
Yeah.
I think that, the things he was doing with Drew McIntyre really helped him stand out more on SmackDown by himself.
Yeah.
I think he needs something new. And I think R-Truth is a really good person to kind of, and he's kind of walking out there, Cena sucks. Kind of being that voice to R-Truth of like, dude, what you doing? Stupid. Like, you're out here rooting for this guy and like, no, bro, he sucks.
Yeah.
So I think Jimmy does kind of play a factor in here. How they end up doing it, it's going to be really, really hard to tell. It's going to be real interesting to see exactly what they do. But I definitely think down the line, Jimmy, if Truth and Cena do have a match at like Saturday night's main event, like you said, you could have Jimmy come out there and he costs Truth. You know what I mean? Just a couple things you could do there. But yeah, that's my thought.
Give me 1 second. Billy, I'm going to let you just keep talking because I think we got some breaking news. I'm working to confirm something. I'm working to confirm something. Just give me a second.
So, how's everybody's day going? And D-RecTube, I have to say this. I can see him being a huge factor. I don't want you to think that your super chat was not fully answered. But it looks like we may have some breaking news, guys. This is why it's kind of crazy going live with Ango, right? Because you never know necessarily what's going to happen. We were kind of giving our outro a minute ago. And now suddenly we're here. We got another super chat. We got some breaking news coming up. It's a little tough. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard working with this guy sometimes. This guy's he's tough, man. He knows what he's doing. But oh my goodness. Okay. Hold on, Darth Bane. We see it there. We're going to bring you up. We're going to bring you up here momentarily, brother. Don't you worry. Do not worry.
Okay, we do have
some breaking news.
We do.
All right, it's confirmed.
So
breaking news.
It did get confirmed. So here's the thing. It actually dropped technically earlier today. I had not been on social media, so maybe some people are aware of this, but I did receive a text message. So at this point, it is actually somebody had already broken the news and they had already released video footage. But before we get to that, we will shout out to our good friend Darth Bane, member for 8 months. Would you have Bronson Reed join Seth and Braun? Absolutely.
Yes. I would not be against it.
Absolutely. 100%.
1,000.
I don't see how you don't do that.
Facts.
The reason why I say that is because Bronson Reed, there wouldn't be pressure for Bronson Reed being in a group. Coming back from injury, he doesn't need to be with them long term, but coming back from injury, he doesn't have to be, he's a monster, bro. This is a future world champion, in my opinion. Future champion.
Agreed.
Personally speaking, I would love for him to kind of join the group and just be a beast for them and then eventually break away and go for the IC title once that time is ready.
Yep. That's fair. Don't hate it.
Miles Hubert Roberson dropping a $2 super chat. I think it's Cena and Punk Saturday night's main event, December in Boston. It is December 13th. I did speak about it on my video earlier this morning. So if you guys didn't watch the video, there are more details there.
So fun fact, that video that I talked about earlier that I made back in August, I actually predicted Punk being the last guy that Cena faced. I don't either. As time went on, I don't think it will actually, but I'm glad that somebody else seen it.
Yeah, I don't. Tough. It's tough. His last opponent, let's just get this out of the way. Who do you think it's going to be? Like, genuinely speaking, right now, put the name out there and stick with it.
Cody Rhodes.
Oh, it is Cody Rhodes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do think it's Cody Rhodes as well. But December 13th, I know it's not going to happen, but imagine if Cody turned heel to beat John Cena.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
That would be crazy.
Do a double turn.
Would be crazy. Saturday night.
If we're going based off what you said, it would be a double turn.
With John Cena passing the torch. But then it wouldn't make sense for John Cena to pass the torch to a heel.
That's my problem here.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know. Run back him and Orton. Orton was my favorite opponent for John Cena.
Oh, that match was so good. The AA, the RKO, all the freaking callbacks.
Everything, bro. Everything. All right, so you got this breaking news.
Yes. Shout out to Miles. Shout out to Darth Bane. Breaking news. Like I said, it was already made public. I didn't realize that. But I received a text message literally an hour and a half ago. I didn't even realize about it. But Shotzi is coming to MLW.
Okay, Shotzi.
So Shotzi Blackheart back in MLW, coming to MLW June 26th, Melrose Ballroom, New York City, Summer of the Beast. I will elaborate further on this as well. So MLW actually revealed this, which, like I said, it's not a spoiler or anything like that. They revealed this, but I received a text message literally an hour and a half ago. I didn't see it because we were live. And that's why I wanted to confirm it. And literally the first thing I did was just go to MLW and I saw it. So
beautiful.
Really, really excited about that. Which means I'll be talking about it in my video more in depth. We're not going to keep you guys here any longer. We were trying to, like, literally 10 minutes ago, the show was going to end and then it turned into this whole thing. So shout out to everybody that has come through and shown love. First of all, we greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Billy TKO, YouTube, TikTok, all that good stuff. Check them out tonight during Raw.
I'll be there.
Ango, TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. You guys already know the deal. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you all for watching. Peace.